just in a moment. Make sure you go ahead and ask us any questions in the chat as well. And of course, without any further delay, I'd love to welcome on the show Dr. Michael Lebby, who is the CEO of Lightwave Logic, ticker LWLG. Dr. Lebby, how's it going?
Great. Good to see you this morning.
It's good to see you, and thank you again for being here. How's it going? How's your morning been?
It's still pretty early, but going great. Weather's great. I'm really excited to be back on the show again. It's been a little bit of time.
You're not on the west side, right? It's not like 6 o'clock for you or anything.
No, I'm on the west side, but today I'm on the east side. I'm staying with
Okay, there we
family in
go.
DC, so the timing is a lot later in the morning.
Love it, love it. Well, hey, let's go ahead and kind of kick things off. And one thing I love to do is kind of pretend like my niece or nephew are watching, right? Pretend like, hey, explain it to us like we're five. What is it that your company does?
So what we do at Lightwave Logic is we help the internet go faster. We have developed a unique technology platform to do that. So let me unpack that a little bit. So what are the problems you have when the internet doesn't go as fast? Well, you know as well as I, through the pandemic, we had to turn our cameras off. Too many people using video platforms, and we're not getting enough bandwidth into the home. Why are we getting enough bandwidth into the home? Is because there's not enough data being sent fast enough through the internet. So what we do is we make devices that help the internet go faster. Now, the technical name for these devices is called a modulator. So if you just look at my hands for a second, if you just zoom, my hand is a laser diode and it's sending out light down the internet. And the internet is composed of fiber optic cables. These are cables made of glass. And so light goes down into the internet. And modulators just actually encode the light. So if you can just imagine light is going through the fiber, it's a one, and then you stop the light, then it's a zero. And that's the way you encode the digital data. Now, today's technology does this, but our technology does that. Well, I can't do it much faster, but it
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
goes much faster. And so our technology is polymer based, it's much faster than semiconductors, and that's what we do.
Got it. Now it's interesting you mentioned that because your website does talk about COVID-19 increasing the need for what it is that your company does. But let's talk about how now that the pandemic has kind of moved forward and we're slowly getting back to normal, if you will, how has it impacted your business today compared to 2020?
So we haven't seen any major impact in our business from the pandemic. Certainly, we've seen a lot more excitement about sending technology faster through the internet. But for example, we're based in Colorado and we develop our polymers, the chemistry of the polymers in Colorado. So we haven't suffered any supply issues because we source domestic materials, raw materials, and we compose and create our own polymers in Colorado. So we haven't been waiting for ships to cross oceans and things like that. So our impact, uh, we haven't seen a lot of negative impact through the pandemic on that side of things, which is actually good to report.
Love it. Now let's kind of talk about your current focus, which is kind, in my opinion, it's just the datacom and telecommunications hardware supply chain, right? You just talked about how that hasn't been interfered with as much or at all. Now, is this a long-term point of concentration for you, or are you planning on possibly branching into other areas as well?
Yes. So today's real exciting markets are telecom and datacom. These are areas, these are markets that are growing really fast. These are markets that use modulators to encode signals going on the fiber optic internet. And so this is a market that is present today and it's really exciting. So if you look out some of the projections over the next 10 years, it's incredible. Now, to really address your question, we're not exactly a huge company right now. We're a small company. We're focused on the fiber optic communications, and that includes datacom, data centers, telecom, things like that, high performance computing. But as you can just imagine, if you could switch light quickly, much faster than liquid crystal displays that you've seen in displays and things like that in the past. Then there's other applications that include things like displays, automotive, and LiDAR, things where light is being used to send signals. And if you can send signals and encode them faster, then that becomes really exciting. And I would say that we've had a lot of interest from other market verticals, but we have to focus. We have to really nail our technology into the internet environment first, and then you'll see a lot of sort of bridging out into other market opportunities, and that may be through our business model of licensing and tech transfer.
Now let's talk about, you talked about the future of the company, but let's go a little bit in the past. And you had a conference that you took part in. I believe it was the sixth PIC International Conference in Belgium. Exciting location there. But was there anything significant that came out of that conference that our viewers should know about, just in case they missed that one?
Yeah, absolutely. This was a conference. Now, I need to explain what a PIC is because you said it's a PIC conference. That stands for a photonic integrated circuit. And so, what's a photonic integrated circuit? It's sort of similar to the integrated circuit you get in the microprocessors, where you have lots and lots of transistors all stuffed onto a piece of silicon chip. A photonic integrated circuit has lots and lots of photonic functions, photonic devices, such as modulators, all on the same chip. So you're increasing the density, increasing the functionality of all these chips. Now at the conference, what was really exciting was there was standing room only. There was people from all over the world. And post-pandemic, that's sort of exciting to go face to face with folks again, rather doing the videos. I know it's great being on the video this morning, but face to face is always brilliant.
Absolutely.
And the big thing to come out of the conference was is that there was an accepted need by the technologists and the customers that high speed, low power modulators, the things that we are designing, is going to be absolutely critical for the internet as we move forward over the next decade. And we certainly have one of the most exciting technologies on the market. So that is really sort of an exciting take back from the conference, if you like, that I saw when I was there.
Now, let's kind of pivot back to the future. You've got a good amount of events, I believe, coming up here as well. What can our investors or any of our viewers expect from that event that they may not have gotten information from at the Belgium event?
So if you look at what we've done over the last year in terms of, press releases and sort of guidelines, I mean, we're pretty regular in our guidelines to the public and giving folks updates. We have a great shareholder base, a retail shareholder base that's really sort of loyal and quite technical too. And so they all send me lots of questions. But in terms of really answering your question, it's the foundry side of things. Now we have a small, if you like, prototype foundry in Colorado. It's about 1,500 square feet. And if you compare that to silicon foundries, across the globe, I mean, it's tiny. And so in order to get mass commercialization scale or volume scale, you want to be able to port your technology to the big foundries so they can run it in volume. And that's certainly what we've given guidance on in the last year. And that's certainly something that we've been talking about. And we're really excited to engage in a whole number of foundries to do that. So as things progress on that side of things, you're going to see PRs, you're going to see updates. And those are really good metrics to see how well we're doing in terms of progressing to have this technology become ubiquitous across the globe.
Got it. And now let's talk about something more exciting, and that's going to be that you're joining, I believe, the Russell 3000 Index in June. I believe that's what the development was. What does that mean for the company, and why is it such a big deal?
Well, I think at the very highest level, um, just going to the Nasdaq from the OTC last September was really exciting. But what that actually does is it means that we have a technology that's unique. We have a technology that we want to be ubiquitous, just like polymers for OLEDs, organic LEDs. You're probably watching an OLED screen today. So we want our technology to be just as ubiquitous. But going to the Nasdaq and the Russell, I mean, that gives us the resources to really fund this company to really get to where we need to be. And so we have the resources in place. And that means that, the unparalleled progress we've made in the last year with the unique technology and the drive to be ubiquitous. I mean, we have all the pieces of the pie in place. It's really quite exciting.
Yeah, it definitely is. But getting involved in an index, it's always great. It means you're being recognized for the fundamentals and how great the future may look for your company. But let's go ahead and kind of talk about, I believe it was at the Investors Daily. An article a couple of days ago, you mentioned your jump in relative strength rating to 93. If you could give me a quick snippet of what that means and what do you think the reason is for that climb as well?
I think folks are recognizing that the Achilles heel of the internet is being able to send data at a higher speed. And if you talk to a lot of the folks at the data center environments, I mean, they really have an issue trying to bring their power consumption down. And so we have a technology that I guess Mother Nature really works with us. It's very low power, it's very high speed. Yes, it's not semiconductor based, it's polymer based. It's similar to, the OLED technology. We switch light, OLED sends out light. And so it's a recognition, I think, that we are aligning the company to really address these problems in a grand scale. And I think that's really exciting.
Got it. And let's talk about then, let's kind of zoom out, right? We talked about COVID and how that kind of helped accelerate growth. And I know right now you said it hasn't impacted your business since we've quote unquote gotten back to normal a bit here. But do you see any other growth factors at the horizon as well? And I'm kind of thinking, you tell me if this doesn't play an impact, but I'm kind of thinking of kind of like the NFT space and the need for networks there. I'm kind of thinking of terms of like Web3, but is that going to help fuel the growth of Lightwave, or are there any other factors that I'm not even thinking about that you believe will really accelerate the opportunities for Lightwave to go to that next level?
Oh, there's no question the fiber optic communications that are the sort of the architecture, the three-way system for the internet is going to fuel Lightwave, and we're really focusing there. But as indicated earlier, there are other market verticals that are going to be really, really exciting. Display-based, automotive LiDAR-based. I mean, we all know everybody's talking about LiDARs on cars. And so, that's an optical solution. You've got 3D sensing that mobile phones have. And so what's going to happen if you can get the distances more than sort of a foot from your face, and you want to go sort of 10 meters or 20 meters or 30 meters, you're actually sending light beams out and you're encoding light beams. I see a huge opportunity here in different market verticals in addition to what we're focused on right now. So yeah, it's this is exciting times. I mean, it's great.
Yeah, it definitely should be fun. I know my nieces and nephews, they're always showing me different technologies that they're kind of playing with. And it's just incredible how fast technology grows and the need for different, whether it's, fiber optic speed, different things like that to kind of contain those technologies as well. But I've never met a company that doesn't have any competitors, right? So let's kind of talk about the competitors that you may have, but not about the competitors necessarily, but what advantage is it that you believe Lightwave has? Or am I wrong? And is Lightwave truly a pioneer in this space here?
So, from a competitor standpoint, I mean, the incumbent technologies that are on the internet today that are called modulators are semiconductor based. And I've been a semiconductor person all my life. I also have worked in polymers too. But the semiconductors are reaching their saturation point in terms of performance. So I look at that as a sunset type technology. I mean, they can't go much faster. They're struggling to keep the power consumption down. And this is like the perfect entry for a new technology that actually addresses those issues. And when I say Mother Nature works with us, our polymer modulators are at least 3, 4 times as fast. I mean, they're about 10x lower in power consumption. And so when you start looking at some of these metrics, and the customer base is realizing this, these are big issues they have to deal with. We're sitting on a great technology that's going to, I call it a sunrise technology. I mean, we really are not, we don't have just the technology solution for the next generation or the generation after that, but we have technology solution for the next decade or even 2 decades. That's what's really exciting here. It's not just we have one solution for the next generation and then semiconductors are going to come back. I just don't see that happening at all anymore.
Yeah, and that's why it's so important to kind of be able to pivot with the verticals that you spoke about and whatever else the company may be planning that we're not privy to just yet. Because, like we've already talked about it, technology changes, trends change, and Mother Nature or anything else, you have to be ready for the unexpected, or expect the unexpected, I guess is a better way to say it. But the recently signed $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill last year, how does that impact you, whether positively, negatively, or kind of no impact at all? or do you see kind of continued growth in that space?
I mean, I do see growth in that space because the infrastructure needs to be upgraded, there's no question. And there's many opportunities where you would need to switch light. It doesn't have to be just in the internet environment. It doesn't have to be in fiber optic communications. I mean, some of the slides I put up on the website show that there's other market verticals that are really, really interesting. And we had, actually, to tell you the truth, we haven't explored all of those yet. I mean,
Okay.
we have people calling us and going, well, we'd really like to see your technology work in our environment. And so that's why our business model is flexible enough that, we can license and tech transfer to other market verticals because, to actually have to address all these markets in parallel means you have to be a super big company, and we're not a big company yet. And so we want to be able to address these opportunities in a way that we can keep our size and our cost structure and our burn rate under control as we grow. And that's really, I mean, that's an exciting part of the business side of what we're doing. Yes, we're focused on fiber optic communications, but we see these other opportunities that are part of the infrastructure fund being really important, and we don't want to miss them either.
Now, there are a few questions that I like to ask everyone that I have a conversation with, right? Being misunderstood is a part of life. Doesn't matter if as an individual, as a company, as whatever. What is something that you believe investors, possible investors, misunderstand when it comes to Lightwave?
Well, I do get questions like, well, is your technology the same polymers as an OLED display? If you think about an OLED display, and we all look at them, right, every day,
Yeah.
those are displays that are polymer based, right? Our polymers, from a chemistry standpoint, are actually different than the polymers in an OLED display. In an OLED display, I mean, the OLEDs push out red, green, and blue, right? So they can get your color displays. I mean, our polymers actually work differently. So we have chemists in Colorado that really work the formulation of these chemistry materials and really work the performance. So they switched light at really low power really quickly. And, it's something that comes up a lot. But, I think it's easy to comprehend. If now we see OLEDs everywhere, what does that tell us? That tells us that OLEDs are reliable, they give good color. I mean, quite honestly, when I worked on OLEDs in the 1990s, when I was doing research at Motorola in Phoenix, I mean, we could get the blue to last 1 hour. We couldn't get any reliability. And quite honestly, I was like, I can't see this technology
Yeah,
going anywhere. But look at it today. We don't even question about that stuff. It's just so exciting.
absolutely.
So, and if you just apply that parallel to what we're doing, is it's like when I say our stuff's going to be ubiquitous, I really believe
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense.
it.
Let's talk about the financial health. We've got about maybe 4 more minutes here, but if you briefly tell me about the financial health of the company, because we've got great things coming on the horizon, but nothing, there's no such thing as a free lunch. So, how's the financial health of the company?
Well, I think the financial health of us right now is really strong. We don't have any loans. We put a shelf in place, $100 million last year. I think on our last report, we indicated we used about 20 millions of that. Um, we have a runway until 2023, and I think on our last report, I think we said it was like sort of low 20s in terms of cash in the bank. And so from that standpoint, we're very careful in terms of we're a conservative operation. We only hired the best people. We've got a number of job racks out right now. So the threshold to actually get into Lightwave Logic is really high. And so we actually pick world-class folks, and we really want that commercial background to support them. And so financially, I think we're in really solid shape as we move into 2023 and really progress our business plans and our technology. So from that standpoint, going from the OTC to the Nasdaq and then the Russell, I mean, it's put us in a really good position with the right level of resources to get the job done.
Now, when it comes to unlocking shareholder value, right? I know, sometimes I know a lot of times you don't like to talk about stock price, but that's not what I want to talk about. I want to talk about more so about any future catalysts that investors or potential investors can kind of look forward to on the horizon, whether it's by the end of the year or 2023. What is something you can look forward to?
Well, I always point to the foundries because the foundries are a big part of the plan going forward. And so you take your technology, you put it into a foundry. The foundry will have something they can offer their customers. The customer base that you see in the fiber optics, the internet space, are typically vertically integrated. And what that means is that they can do every part of their technology from the chip to the chip package to the module going into the system going into the network. And but these folks, they are techies there and they really know what the weaknesses are.
Yeah.
So you need to have a business model that's really flexible. So what do shareholders need to look for as we go forward? Well, clearly our press releases on our progress with the foundries and our business progress as we move forward. And we will put out guidance as we feel comfortable working with partners and going forward as we progress the business. So yeah, that is going to happen, and we do a lot of guidance.
Yeah.
I've given a lot of guidance in the shareholder meeting just a month or so ago in terms of timelines. So yeah, we're just going to keep on that track.
Okay. Well, it's been a great conversation so far, but I do want to give you the floor. Was there anything that you wanted to let our viewers know? Any topics that you wanted me to discuss, but I didn't bring up? The floor is all yours here for the final minute.
Oh no, I mean, I think what I can sum up in terms of how exciting our technology platform is that, we have had unparalleled progress over the last year. And we went from OTC to the Nasdaq and now to the Russell. Our technology is unique. I mean, it's polymer based, but it's unique. It switches light really fast and it actually does things the whole internet infrastructure wants to see. And our goal is to have our technology become ubiquitous, just like OLEDs, organic LEDs you find in displays and mobile phones and
Yeah.
televisions. That's pretty much it. It's a great
Got
time.
it. Got it. Appreciate it. And that is Dr. Lebby, CEO of Lightwave Technology, excuse me, Lightwave Logic, ticker LWLG. Thank you so much for having this conversation. Really appreciate it. I look forward to many more in the future.
Cheers.
Take care. Take care. And safe travels back to the West Coast. I've vacationed in the West Coast. And if you're trading markets, waking up at 6 o'clock to trade at 6:30 is not